Zero Hour. This is RJ Eskow, and this segment is going to be about the planet, but not our planet, other potential planets, and the concept of what our next guest describes as super habitable worlds. Our guest is John Armstrong, who is associate professor at Weber State University and has just authored a paper on the concept of super habitable worlds and the possibility that one might be, at least in astronomic terms, quite close to us. Professor Armstrong, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you bet. Now, listen, you got to watch me because I'm likely to try to lead you into irresponsible speculation about which you don't have scientific data. So just tell me to stop if I do that. But your paper introduces the concept of super habitable worlds, the paper that you co-authored, and the possibility that one might be in the star system that's closest to our own, which is Alpha Centauri b. Just very briefly, and for a lay audience, could you tell us what you're describing?
Sure. So the best thing I can do is give you an analogy. You know, I live in the deserts of Ogden, Utah, and clearly we have life here in Ogden, Utah, but I've also visited the rainforest of the Amazon, which also has life. And I think you could argue that the Amazon has a much more larger diversity and lushness of life than the deserts of Ogden, Utah. So what Renee Heller and I did for our paper was to kind of extend that logic to planets like our Earth, and imagine the case that maybe the Earth isn't the best place for life in the galaxy. Maybe we're a small little rocky world with just barely enough water to hold on to the biosphere that we have, and that there might be places out there in the galaxy that have conditions that are more conducive to life than what we would find on the Earth.
So that was the premise for your study, and the significance of that, I think, just for our audience to be clear, is not necessarily that this might mean we can find planets that are even better places for human beings to live because the gravity might be higher or whatever, but that if we're talking about the possibility of life forming on more than one planet, possibility of extraterrestrial life, there may be planets, I believe, if I understand correctly, that are even more likely to host life than our own.
That's right. And you mentioned Alpha Centauri b, which is the nearest star system to ours. Now, we have no evidence of an Earth-like planet around that star system, but if you think about it, the Alpha Centauri star system has two sun-like stars that orbit one another. Those two sun-like stars could very easily have habitable worlds that orbit them, and if that's the case, then you could have a system that's very compact. You know, the stars are close to each other the way planets in our solar system are close to each other, and you could have multiple planets that could have evolved life. And you can imagine what our space program would look like if there happened to be a habitable world that's the equivalent of the distance away from us is the planet Neptune. I'm pretty sure we'd probably already be on board that some ship to go out there and visit a world like that.
Right.
Yeah. So I think there's just there's this idea that there are systems out there, and we're finding planets. There's a type of planet out in the galaxy, a very common type of planet called a super Earth, which is about twice the size of the Earth, and we don't have one of these in our solar system. And they're very common in the galaxy, and we have no idea what their properties are. So I think to call the Earth the best place for life ignores some of the data that we're finding about other worlds.
Right. It also means you haven't been to southern New Jersey. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. But I lived in New Jersey. I'm going to get a lot of flack for that.